All right. Hey, Sarah.
Hi.
How's it
How's it
going?
going? I'm
Thanks so
great.
much.
How are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm good too. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to talk about books today.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love books.
Me too. And I think that talking about books is such an interesting and empowering thing when we're pregnant because it's typically the first item to enter one's home after they find out that they're pregnant for the first time or you know, after a birth scenario that maybe you felt unprepared for. Yeah, so I feel like it's a really good discussion to dive into today. Um, so where you can find the books that we're chatting about today, I feel like we'll attach links to all of our favorite birth books if you wanted to purchase them and bring them into your home that way. But both Sarah and I have found a wide variety of books that are accessible through libraries. So if you have a local library and you don't want to invest in a book, that's a great spot. And then there's lending libraries typically throughout your city as well, like a birth center or even a local doula. Oftentimes, local doulas have lending libraries for their clients. Um, so yeah, let's let's jump into books.
Yeah. Let me see. So I think the first one that people usually jump to when when they find out that they're pregnant is What to Expect When You're Expecting. It's like the standard book. It's been around forever. I think there's a crazy number of editions at this point because they're constantly updating it. But like I know my mom used it, my grandma used it. It's it's a generational book. And I know too, like talking to my mom, it was the first one that she recommended to me when I was like, oh, like I need some books and some information. She was like, What to Expect When Expecting. I think they've even made a movie out of it at this point. Um, and it does have a lot of information in it, but it's very rigid in its information. It's like this is the way things go, and this is what's going to happen, and if X happens, then Y will happen, and that's not generally how birth goes. I mean, it can, but what's the saying? Life happens when you're busy making other plans. And I feel like birth is a stunning example of that. And I know for me, I felt that What to Expect was there wasn't enough wiggle room. There wasn't enough like, what if, or, like, what if I don't want that? Are there other options and stuff? And What to Expect doesn't necessarily offer a broad spectrum of information. I feel like I remember there being a vague little blip about like birth outside of the hospital, and otherwise it was like you're going to the hospital, the doctor is going to do this, you're going to do this, the doctor is going to do this, the end. And it almost felt a little like kind of fear mongering almost in a sense, like there wasn't room for any questioning, there wasn't room for any alternative, and all of the information provided was very like, this is it, and if you don't do that, then um yeah, so I think it lacked sort of the ability to individualize your birth care and birth information in general. Like, it is, I think, important to have the medical information around birth, but it doesn't have to be so strict and medicalized. So we're going to offer you some alternatives as well to what to expect.
Yeah, I feel like this entire list basically blossomed from that discussion of how rigid, useful and rigid the what to expect when expecting books can be. And I say books because there's like 1,000 editions. It truly has been around forever. Um, I don't have the book here, but I wonder if we can see this. Expecting Better. This is the book. You can typically find it on audio. an audiobook or in hard copy. But I find it is a great alternative to what to expect when expecting, especially if you have more of a medicalized or scientific brain that likes stats and information. It was actually written by a statistician who read books like What to Expect and thought, where's the research and what is my actual risk here when it comes to eating red meat in pregnancy or eating fish in pregnancy or gardening or curb walking, drinking alcohol and smoking, like basically anything and everything you're told to do or not to do in pregnancy. It breaks it down and gives you um, more of the stats on the risks so that you can make an informed decision for yourself. Um, yeah, and I think that that's kind of one of the first books that we might read as women that kind of debunks this idea that there is only one way to approach your pregnancy and birth. Um, it takes, really intelligent women who write books like this to encourage us to sniff around and see what ideal we're kind of going for when we're imagining or prepping ourselves and our birth teams for our birth. Yeah, so expecting better, another really good one.
Yeah. Um, the one that I wanted to talk about was this one here.
Mm.
It's Pregnancy, Childbirth, and the Newborn. It's the complete guide by Penny Simkin. She writes a few really good pregnancy and childbirth books. You'll probably hear her name pop up again in this list. But this one specifically, I really liked. I would say it's along the lines of What to Expect. It definitely leans more into like the medicalized side of birth. If you're planning a hospital birth, if some people plan cesareans and stuff like that, right? This is going to give you all of that information that you would need for that. More of like a mainstream birth leaning book. It goes over all the same info that What to Expect does, but it has sort of a gentler approach and is a little less bias. It's a lot more like facts, almost like the book you recommended. Not full on stats, which I still want to read that book. That sounds amazing. But yeah, just straight up facts that sort of give you an idea of what to expect. Um, but less like strict. You get to make your own informed decision with this book, I feel. Um, and a lot of the information isn't necessarily strictly based on like just the cultural norm. It's great if you're planning a hospital birth, or alternatively, if you're not planning a hospital birth, but you still want to understand what might happen should you end up in the hospital, or to just like sort of understand the more medicalized aspects of what's going on while you're pregnant and giving birth.
Yeah, definitely. I think that book is way more neutral to the
Hmm.
way it's all shared. I don't remember what to expect when you're expecting on the doula read roster.
Oh,
Like
is
when,
it not on there anymore?
but pregnancy, childbirth, and the newborn definitely is. It's such a great book. And Penny Simkin is also a mover and shaker when it comes to thinking about your choices.
Yes, definitely.
Um, yeah. And I always like to think about these books as sitting on a spectrum from like very rigid medicalized birth where you're kind of giving your pregnancy and your labor to the medical system and putting it in their hands versus, free birth society, perhaps, where you are birthing alone in the forest with no one present and have, are hours away from any medical care. Um, and so the next book that I wanted to talk about is called Nurture. This is actually your book, Sarah. You lent it to me and I kidnapped it. Nurture. This is a modern guide to pregnancy, birth, and early motherhood, trusting yourself and your body by Erica Chitty Cohen. Um, and I think in terms of that spectrum, this book is kind of sitting nicely in the middle. It still gives you a ton of information about medical practices and what a contraction is, for example, and how to time it, and stages of labor, and medical tools and interventions that you can have access to and call into your birth plan if that's something you're looking for. But then it also covers things like nutrition, movement in terms of prenatal yoga, but also birthing postures and uh, postures at the end of your pregnancy to help with comfort and engagement of baby. It goes over journaling prompts, which is really nice if you're someone who likes to, um, yeah, just spend time kind of free writing. It gives you things, prompts to get into your creative brain. I think there's even meditations that you can read through and breathwork practices. It has a really nice kind of grounded, like, it just kind of all encompasses the woman who's looking for what I call the empowering knowledge of the medical system, but then also the, like, beautiful kind of woo spiritual part about birth that lots of women want to tap into, even if it feels kind of awkward and funny at first, like chatting with your baby and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's one highly recommend. It's a great one. And these are all commitments, these books, but they're lovely.
Yeah. I like to with all of these big books like the one I recommended and with Nurture, like they are, like you said, a commitment, but I also find I don't read them linearly, right? It's really nice to sort of just open to a page, a chapter, and sort of go from there. Or like if a question comes up for you and you're like, I don't know, but you don't want to like necessarily feel like you need to reach out to your care provider about it. Or it's, the thought that pops into your head at 3 a.m. and you're like, well, what about that? And so you can like pick the book up and you can flip through and find the information you need as opposed to like trying to read it cover to cover, which is also good, but I find I never used these books in that manner. Okay, I have another one I want to recommend. This one's a vibe, guys. This is the Nourishing Traditions book for baby and childcare. So this one's kind of neat because it goes past birth. When you have your little one in your arms and you have to think about things like vaccines and nutrition and how are you going to put them to sleep and are you going to breastfeed? And if you do, what does that look like? And all that stuff. It covers that as well. But yeah, it's definitely it covers nutrition that's for fetal development, how to have a healthy pregnancy, interventions you may go through. It also talks about vaccinations, and it's just a little bit of everything. I wouldn't say it goes like super in depth, but yeah, it definitely is just a little bit of everything in this book, and some really interesting information. It's definitely swinging further away from the medicalized sort of birth, hospital birth, but still super, super interesting. Um, it is written by Sally Fallon Morell. Morell? I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. But it bases a lot of its information on the Winston Price Foundation. So very much like sort of an alternative or very holistic lifestyle. Also some sort of Steiner like Waldorf ideology. But yeah, it's basically if you want a more natural sort of book vibe, that would be one that I would recommend for sure. And yeah, it covers, just like I said, a little bit of everything. They even get into like whooping cough and other childhood illnesses, natural treatments for things, early childhood development. It's pretty knowledge packed.
Hmm. Wow, yeah, fascinating. Um, do you have the Iname Gaskin book with you, the
Yeah,
Guide to Childbirth?
this one.
Yes.
This is a
When
good
you were
one.
chatting about the last book, this one popped into my brain. Definitely moving further away in terms of a spectrum, moving further away from the medicalized model and more into kind of that natural, or what's deemed in the birth world today the naturalistic style of pregnancy and birth. Um, Still includes information on medical care, and Iname Gaskin was a mover and shaker as well. It's a vibe too. She was a mover and shaker when she was out in the world, basically encouraging women to birth wherever they felt safest. Um, they were basically offering birth out of a school bus. Yeah, driving around. What year was that? I can't.
Oh
It's
my
on
gosh.
me. Was it the 60s, 70s?
I think it was the 60s.
Something like that, out of a yellow
Yeah.
school bus. So kind of very, yeah, during that time, again, it's a vibe, right? Like you can imagine the 60s and 70s yellow school bus in the US on the West Coast. Um, it has lots of empowering birth stories, which is why I really loved that book.
Yeah.
Um, it's a very positive book. It makes everyone who reads it, I think, walk away trusting their bodies and their ability to birth. Um, yeah, it's not strictly for home birth, though it is geared towards, again, more of out of hospital style of birth. But it's useful even for hospital births because who doesn't want to be heading into your birth feeling like you can trust the process that you're about to embark on? Um, yeah, there is a bit of bias, obviously, because Iname has experience in home birth, bus birth, um, field birth, farm birth, and also, medicalized care. And, she obviously has preferences that she speaks towards. But yeah, it's a great book if you want to read really lovely, nourishing home birth or out of hospital birth stories.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I find her books, they're like it gives me like a cozy cup of tea vibe. Like you were saying, like you always leave the book feeling just like, yeah, okay, yeah, no, it's all fine. Everything's fine. All right. Um, I actually have another one of her books as well. And this one is starting to swing even further along the spectrum. This one is the spiritual midwifery. This is the fourth edition. I believe there is an updated edition of this. I think there's a fifth edition, if I remember correctly. Um, and this one is, again, it's predominantly birth stories. Um, I would say like the first half is birth stories, um, which are so lovely to read. Um, and this one definitely leans pretty far away from hospital birth. But Ina May has had a lot of experience in the medical system as well, which is why she personally chose to lean this way. So yeah, I would recommend this one more if you are planning to have an out of hospital birth, as opposed to, I mean, the birth stories are still lovely regardless. It's always good to read a good birth story because it gives you that feeling of like, I can do this. Everyone can do this. I can do this. I got this. But yeah, she goes into a lot of information in the second half of her book here as well. It talks about delivery, follow-up care. It talks about management of the different stages of labor. She even goes into like how to feel your baby in your womb and like um, I'm not sure originally what the intention was, but she talks about everything. Like if you wanted to know how your doctor is suturing a tear, it's in here. Like she covers everything. How breech babies are delivered, how um like she covers preeclampsia, she covers toxemia, she covers literally everything. But it's very again, very like she's talking about these things that are potentially concerning, right? But she's doing it in a very like sort of empowering, informative way. which I really like. It is like medical information, like some of the first books we talked about, but it's delivered in a way that isn't medicalized, if that makes any sense. She's like, this is
Mhm.
a problem that could happen. You know, these are the steps that would be taken to take care of it. Like, you know, it's all just a part of it. It's all a part of
Mhm.
the experience. It's all a part of birth. Yeah, so that one's a really, really good one. Again, just for that sort of, I don't know, cozy vibe. She includes like nutritional information as well and goes into orgasmic birth, which is again like
Mm,
a total vibe,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and it's a lot more spiritually oriented than a lot of her other books. I also have,
Mm.
where did I put it? I have this one here too. This is another Penny Simkin book, The Birth Partner. Um,
Okay.
this
Brought
one
to
is,
mind too.
yes,
A good one.
such a good one. I believe there's an even more updated edition than the one. I have the fifth edition, and I think there's like a sixth or seventh edition out now.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, so but even the older editions, like if you're at the library or secondhand or whatever, however you're getting your books, even the older editions are good. This is a really amazing one for whoever is going to be with you in the birth room, whether it's your partner, a friend, a doula, whoever that might be. This is for them. I found it very informative myself to read, but I bought it for my husband specifically
Mhm.
at the time. And
Yeah.
again, it walks you through literally every stage of it. Starts, I believe, with like a little bit of knowledge about like what is a birth center, what is a hospital birth, kind of goes very briefly through all of that information. And then it starts off like you get a little bit of like there's a fetal fetal movement tracker near the front and stuff, and then it goes right into um, how to identify labor and what are contractions and how to time them, and it goes through every single possibility of anything that might come up. It gives you positions for helping the laboring person be comfortable and how you can help support them and all of that. The other thing that I really like is, I don't know if it'll show up on the screen. I think yours are gray, mine are orange, so I don't know what the updated version is, but it gives you, let's see if I can, there, these like bright orange pages that you can actually see from the outside along the pages of the book. So you can flip really quickly to a section. So like the one that I just found is emergency delivery. So you know it's in there because you've read the book, right? Right, birthing
Mhm.
partner, you've read the book. So you can flip really quickly to whatever section based on these orange colors on the spine or on the pages of the book and find the information you need really quick. And so that covers a whole bunch of just basically everything you might need throughout the whole process. So that's a
Mm.
really good one as well.
Yeah, that's a great one. Such a good book. And truly, all of the books we've talked about before, you can definitely read as the birth partner or the birth
Yeah.
friend or birth family member. But that one really is truly one of the only books out there. I know we have a list of others that we're currently looking to read to extend that list, but one of the only ones that truly is catered to the partner that you and I have read at the moment
Yeah.
is a good read. Yeah, so I guess that brings us to alternative books. So all the books we've mentioned so far are chatting about birth prep knowledge and pregnancy knowledge. But something that Sarah and I felt we couldn't leave out was food prep or recipes for pregnancy, for health, and then also for postpartum. So I brought Nine Golden Months by Hang O. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And just to start off, her books are beautiful. This one is The Essential Art of Nurturing the Mother to Be. She has one for fertility as well. So if you're looking to conceive and cooking is a part of that ritual for you, we don't have that one here, but truly her books are gorgeous. Like just beautiful fonts, beautiful pictures. There's also lots of self-care in this book. Like I flipped open to do some daydreaming as you're cooking, which is so nice. Trusting the mystery of pregnancy and birth, why good food matters, and then recipes around how to actually nourish yourself. So the first entire half of the book is just beautiful literature around being pregnant and activities and thoughts around connecting to your pregnancy. And then the whole second half is um, very unique and cool recipes that are culturally from her family and from the time that she was pregnant, recipes that she loved and that her aunt and mother were offering her during her labor. So it has lots of foods. It has elixirs for like morning sickness. It has snacks, and then also it has things like foot baths and soap too, and massage oil recipes. So I really liked this one. Um, and truly, I pull it out and eat from it myself, and I'm not pregnant.
Her recipes are so good.
Yeah,
I don't think I've made one yet where I've been like, mm.
totally agreed. Yeah. And I use them for my families who are not in perinatal care as well at the moment because they're so applicable to just times in your life when you are looking for more nourishment or warmth or care.
Yeah, definitely. She has one as well. I think we've covered pretty much all the books that all of our favorite ones anyways for birth and labor and pregnancy and all of that.
Actually, as you're saying that, I'm
Oh,
realizing I grabbed two books that we don't have on the list. So this one, shout out to Anise Thorogood. She wrote this. She's a local Calgary nutritionist. She wrote this, um, I think, as she was going through her third pregnancy, and it's pretty much strictly a cookbook, but it is delicious as well. It has a little section at the front for how to stock a Whole Foods pantry so that you can, you know, easily cruise through her cookbook and have the ingredients on hand that she's suggesting. But then it has, everything like homemade ice creams and smoothies to amazing baked goods to full-on recipes that are, I assume, approved by her and her family. She has three young boys, so like venison meatballs. Yeah, she just has a lot of good stuff in here. Um, yeah, and she's local to Calgary, so if you see her book and you're curious, it's a good one too. So I wanted to give her a shout out. And then quickly before we move into postpartum, I found this on the bookshelf and shout out
ooh.
to Viva Rom. I actually found this at
Oh no, I lost your sound.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, I can now.
Oh, good.
Lost you for a second just for the book description.
Okay. Yeah, shout out to Dr. Aviva Ram. I know a lot of people know her from Instagram these days, but look at her, so youthful and young and pregnant with one of her babes, like way back in the day. I don't even know when this was published, but I found it at Value Village um, a couple weeks ago and grabbed it and have forgotten about it because I haven't read it yet. So I have no idea what's in it, but yeah,
It's a Viva
copyright
Rom.
2003. Yeah, it's Aviva Ram. Just holding it, you have access to her wisdom. And also, she has so much information online and on Instagram because she's still around practicing, supporting women who are going through pregnancy and menopause as well, like health and wellness for perinatal for women in general. And she was a midwife at some point in her career. She's not practicing at the moment, I don't think, um, but yeah, I wanted to throw her in there too, that she has like three or four amazing books.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. Like, she's one of the first people I recommend. Anyone has questions, I'm like, go look at Aviva Rom's website and her Instagram page. The amount of free content she has is amazing. And then, yeah, like everything else I've ever come across. I haven't read that one yet either. But
Yeah.
everything of hers I've come across is just it's very pragmatic, I guess would be the word. Like she's very down to earth about it. But like she's really good at catering to a spectrum as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I think she's the best of both worlds. That's always what I think of when I think of her because she has that medical background and she really honors what the medical background has to say. But then she also is like, hey, it doesn't have to be that way. And there's options, and we have access to other tools when it feels more appropriate. And yeah, she has such a good energy behind all of her suggestions. This one is called The Natural Pregnancy Book: Herbs, Nutrition, and Other Holistic Choices. So I think that title just kind of showcases who she is as an individual.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. I guess postpartum prep, since I'm on a roll and chatting, I have this one me on my lap. The Fourth Trimester by Kimberly Ann Johnson. This is such a great book. And again, one I haven't read cover to cover yet, just because there's so much information and this is one that I find you can just kind of flip through and have it fall onto your lap and get amazing information. It's a postpartum guide to healing your body, balancing your emotions, and restoring your vitality. Um, I love this book because it talks about, first and foremost, the importance of setting up your postpartum time, which I think is quite a new concept. We've started to get really good at advocating for the pregnancies and births we want, but we still haven't really taken that energy and moved it into postpartum care yet. There's, that whole culture around bouncing back and getting back to your pre-pregnancy self. And I think she just kind of debunks that and talks about different philosophies around the world that include honoring the postpartum time. So it kind of just plants a seed for us as women around what we might want that postpartum time to look like and how we might want to set ourselves up. Um, if you want to bounce back, great, but there's more options out there for you. And she talks about 5 pillars that can be used to create your postpartum, which I really love. It kind of makes it tangible in terms of how you can create the postpartum for you. And then because she's a somatic teacher and was a yoga teacher for many years, the second half of her book is somatic experiences for either processing your birth. And I think she has a free resource that you recommended back in the day, free resource for processing your birth trauma. But then she also has just other somatic exercises that you can bring into your postpartum journey, like eye gazing with your partner, breath work practices, listening to the stories of the people in the birth room besides your own and debriefing that way. Um, Pelvic floor exercises and breath work exercises. There's information as well on maybe tools that were called into your birth that could influence the way that you might want to set up your postpartum time. So yeah, this is just an overall really great book and good to read as the birth partner too, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. How to care for your loved one postpartum. Definitely good for birth partner. I think the last book I have is also good for pregnant people, but also good for birth partners as well. It's Hang. We should learn how to say her name. It's Hang Out Oh again. Um, this is the first 40 days. I really loved a lot of the recipes in this one. It's another recipe book, but she does the same sort of thing like the one you brought up earlier, where like the first half of the book is all sort of like postpartum information. She covers a whole bunch of topics. Um, and talks about like why rest is important and stuff like that. And then she gets into recipes around the second half of the book. And yeah, again, just a stunning book. Her books are beautiful. Even like if I could see a lot of people not holding on to their like pregnancy books postpartum, like if you're not planning on having another one. But hers I would always keep because they're just beautiful. And also the recipes, like you were saying, are just good for any time you feel like you need that little extra bit of like coziness and support and nourishment. Um, but yeah, she talks a lot about like the first 40 days, which is also the fourth trimester, however you want to phrase it. She's coming again from a more cultural aspect. Traditionally, they lie in for the first 40 days after birth, and they are cared for, and the baby is cared for, and basically the mom's whole focus is just taking care of herself and her baby, and connecting with the baby. Um, so she gives you ways to set yourself up for that and lots of delicious recipes that either you can have someone who's caring for you make for you, you can make them in advance, and have them tucked in your freezer, however postpartum looks for you. But yeah, that's another really, really good book.
Mm, yeah, it is beautiful, that one, and so good, so nourishing.
Yes. I feel like we could do a whole nother topic about postpartum. I have all this stuff coming up that I'm like, oh, postpartum, we need to discuss. And I
Yeah,
feel like it doesn't quite fit into this video, but we should
yeah,
definitely have a postpartum talk coming up.
yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, like I was saying before, I think it's an untapped, we're just starting to really talk about it because of women like Hang and Kimberly and Johnson, who are speaking about it and publishing books about it. Our mothers were definitely the rest when you're dead women, who were just always turning and moving forward. And I think we're realizing now that you have options, which is, really what all these books are about. They're all theories, ideas, options, and you can, flip through them and see what resonates for you and then take them home or purchase them and hopefully feel inspired by all these amazing thinkers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And I'd love to know if you're still with us, what books you read or what books you're currently reading and what you think about them. Definitely drop some information down for us so that we can continue, building our book list and yeah.
Always excited to read new books too.
Yes, you have one of the biggest libraries I know. If you need a book, just go see Sarah. She has it for sure. And she's pretty good about letting you kidnap them for extended periods of time as well. uh, all right. Well, thanks so much, Sarah. Appreciate it. And yeah,
Yeah,
we'll post our book list live as well after this video so that you have access and don't have to be writing all these things down and re-listening.
definitely.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.